Women are in politics. That's not news. Shouldn't be surprising. That fact is not even a unique phenomenon. We might even could all agree that women have been involved in politics since the Garden of Eden. Eve could not dissolve herself from what would be the ensuing reallocation of cost and benefits. Women have been civically astute, mindful of community and public service, politically engaged since before the founding of the American Democratic Republic. They have stood for, they have fought for full equal rights. In 1776, Abigail Adams wrote a letter to her husband, John Adams, at the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. She expressed to him, "Remember the ladies in your deliberations about the American experience. We will not be bound by any laws that you're making where we don't have a voice or representation." She hoped that ladies would be remembered, that they would be involved women in society and not servants to men in power. Having a voice in politics has not come quickly. It wasn't until the 19th Amendment in 1920 that women emerged as equal partners in democracy, that they could actually ascend in positions of power. Women had to take a stand. Today, we are seeing more women involved in politics than we have ever. They are fighting through their struggle for the vote. They are electorally viable, and they are making a difference. We see women stand before our nation's Capitol domes. They look confidently, yet getting into these positions of power has been very slow. And women today only comprise very few of our elected positions. Only 325 women have ever served as a United States representative or as a United States senator. That's only 3% of all individuals who have ever served in the Congress. Women are serving. Today, they are only 19.4% of Congress. We only have 4 women who are governors, and nearly 25% of all state legislators are women. Maybe you're wondering, I've wondered, why does it matter if we have women in politics? Why does it matter? Should we be concerned that women have been gaining positions in politics glacially slowly, that they haven't been moving and progressing fast? Women have an important role because they are standing for other women. Women in powers and in position of leadership can actually represent the voices of the women in our society. They're standing for others. This has prompted me to ask this question: why do women seek public office? What motivated them to serve in politics? And do women who are already serving in politics, women who are currently involved, are they role models? Do they have the ability to influence another generation of women to run for office? And most importantly for this talk and for our discussion, how do we get more women involved in American politics? How do we get more women involved in politics? Academics, researchers like myself, we spend a lot of time talking about the themes in gender and politics. One of the first themes that we talk about is women's descriptive representation, their roles in our governmental system, and the paths and the career trajectories that they have taken to get into office. We talk about how gender affects that decision, whether they have political ambition, what type of candidate they will be, as well as the strategies they will employ when they're in office. A second theme that we talk about in gender and politics is actually the distinctive roles women play when they are in office, what issues they will lead on, how they will affect the government policies that will come out of our system. Yet connected to those two themes is something that is important, and that is how women have a unique place for each other. Women can be role models. Women can be influential when they are serving. Women affect representation, and women can affect policymaking. Deciding to run for political office is very different for women than it is for men in many ways. That decision is structured by many environmental factors, contextual factors, and relational factors. And I have argued through my research that the paths women take into office are very mired, but they are structured by women modeling the behavior of other women. These women have an influence. Winners inspire imitators. If women can see someone being politically involved and engaged and active, if they see someone in the political pipeline, they are encouraged to run. Women politicians are role models. From this, I have learned that these are not static representatives. For some women, it has been different to get involved in politics, but for others, they need to have a path and an example to follow. Over the course of the last couple of years, I have interviewed over 60 different female politicians, and I've asked that simple question: why did you get involved in politics? What motivated you? And from this, I built a typology of women and how they have advanced into politics. The first one I would like to share with you is the spicy I can political pioneer. These are women who are self-motivated. They do not need anyone to encourage them to run for office or be engaged in politics. This is Jeanette Rankin, who is our first American political pioneer. She was elected to the United States House of Representatives in 1917. She was not going to believe her prescribed role was to stay at home. She stated that women were half the population, we should be half the Congress. And she opened the door for women into the United States House. In the middle, there is Bella Abzug. She campaigned in the 1960s on the women's rights platform. And she campaigned stating that women belong in the House. And that's House with the capital H, O-U-S-E. Again, here, championing that she was running as a woman for women. Other women have become a part of politics because they were immersed into a public life by marriage or by birth. So these are women who were born into politics, took on the family's role, either helping their fathers or their husbands in the political world. So Eleanor Roosevelt once stated that it's the duty of a woman to be interested in whatever her husband's interested in, whether that's politics, books, or a particular dish for dinner. One of the congresswomen that I spoke with who succeeded her husband actually stated that her husband opened the door for her, but once she ran, she was bitten by the political bug and she wanted to serve and make a difference. 2 women have run for governor because their husbands could not run for governor again, and that was Miriam Ferguson, or Ma Ferguson out of Texas, and Lurleen Wallace. Ma Ferguson actually stated that if the Texas voters would vote for her, she would get advice from her husband, and Texas would get 2 governors for the price of 1. The third category, these women are not connected and may give some acclaim to their family for motivating them in politics, but they were inspired by someone they worked with, or they were inspired by a woman they may have never met. So we see here Senator Susan Collins out of Maine, and she actually has and holds the Senate seat from her former boss, Senator William Cohen. And she gives a lot of discussion about he inspired her to run. Barbara Lee, she holds the seat that once was held by her boss, Representative Ron Dellums, and she campaigned actually that she would be carrying on the baton. Another woman that I spoke with discussed how she had interned for a congressman one summer and that she really was impressed by the clout that he had in the chamber and the work he was doing for his people. And that showed that she wanted to do the exact same thing. These women are politically inspired adherents to those mentors. The final category, her lady's political protege. So much of the political conscience of these women is stemmed from the encouragement of seeing a woman succeed in politics. These women follow, some of them, the exact path of another woman into political office. Margaret Chase Smith, Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, Patricia Schroeder, these are congressional women who were role models for others. Senators Olympia Snowe and Senators Susan Collins from Maine both credit Margaret Chase Smith as the reason why they were running for office, that she had opened the door in Maine for them to be involved. Diana DeJette, her trail to political office was blazed right after her role model, Patricia Schroeder. When Patricia Schroeder decided to retire, she endorsed Diana DeJette. And at a press conference in Denver in 1996, Representative Schroeder told Diana DeJette, "Here are my congressional shoes." And Diana's response was, "I feel like Cinderella." Her ambitions to be involved in politics, they followed just by taking the shoes of one lady and then each step she had to Congress. Diana DeJette is referred to in many ways today as the Schroeder clone. Women who have been successful in politics create a path by which other women can follow. But women don't need just to have a role model. They're going to look to partisan winds, the political environment. They're going to actually think of the relationships around them and whether they should run or not. But they will think of those who have been successful before them. They will think about the path that has already been blazed, and they will model their career choice to run for office after many of these women. Understanding what motivates women to run for office helps us to understand our representative government. It helps us to understand who's involved. But it's more than that. Understanding role models and the impact they have on politics has always fascinated me, and it's very personal. As a young woman, I was very fascinated about politics and wanted to get involved, and I started my legislative career as an intern in the Georgia General Assembly. And then I was fortunate to move on and work for a congressman. And while I was there, I realized that the system is still full of the good old boy domination of politics. Women were there and they had seats as representatives or senators or lobbyists or legislative assistants, but they were not in the inner circles of policy decision making. They were siloed to certain areas, specific expertise. And I said, why are they here given this climate? Why are they putting themselves before the public to serve? What is it that is truly motivating them? Would I find a woman who could inspire me? Could I find a mentor who would walk me through what it would take to be a candidate for office? As well, I said, are there women here who are encouraging other women? And I did find a mentor, but she was in higher education, and she was a professor who sparked all of my intellectual curiosities more about politics, and she also said to me, please go and interview more women in politics, and you will learn from them. If we have female role models, we are more likely as women to run for office. We will be inspired. We will be encouraged. We will see the symbolism, the acceptance of those other women in politics, and we will run. Now, you might ask, well, Dr. Owen, are you going to run for office one day? Not so sure. But I know that there are women out there I can look to who can inspire me. And we have to get rid of seeing the mean girls and being a part of a mean girl culture to one another. We have to find women who will lift us up, encourage us to take the next step. Remember that every woman we see run for political office, she is making a step. A small step for some, a large step for others, but she is making a step to encourage more women to run. And if we can find a mentor, if we can find a role model that inspires us, then we can take those winning examples to other girls and ladies and inspire them to be involved in politics. Because it's not about encouraging women, it's not just about women in math and sciences. It's about women in politics and women engaged, because women who are in politics and women who are engaged can really shape our public, the public discourse, and our futures. Thank you.